In 1659, Christmas was outlawed on behalf of the Puritans. They couldn't find anything in their scripture that specifically said, celebrate Christmas. And so because of that, people were prohibited from celebrating Christmas, and they went so far as to fine anyone that had a symbol of Christmas anywhere on their house. So in modern day times, Christmas is undermined. Any holiday that ever meant anything to anyone in any way is endangered of being undermined by commercialism. So today we're going to go back in time. We're going to experience Christmas as it was around the time when people in America first started celebrating, and that is 1850. Now the word wreath comes from some old English word that sounded like writhen, and it meant to twist or to ring. So we need to find some natural material that we can twist up into a wreath shape. Grapevines. So remember, in 1850s, nobody knew exactly how you were supposed to celebrate Christmas because people were just getting into the holidays. So anything we do today is going to be accurate because we're using natural materials and we're just making it up as we go along. So we're going to try to make a Christmas wreath out of this right here. Yeah. So for the sake of time, I already have one because it takes a long time to do this. Notice how dark and dreary and drab it is out here. It's like that for months at a time. And so that's where this came from. This evergreens were to celebrate life, and candles were put on wreaths as well, and that was to celebrate the coming of longer days and more sunlight. And so these evergreens and this fabric right here just really stands out here in all this drabness. Okay, so now that we have our Christmas wreath, now we need to start making Christmas toys. And again, in 1850s, you would have had to make your own toys for your kids. You probably didn't have anything that you could buy other than things that were just made by someone else. So let's go ahead and start working on some toys that would have been from the period of 1850s. Alright, so we got one toy. The next toy that we're going to make is very, very simple. Back in the 1850s, glass marbles weren't popular, and so most people made marbles out of clay. And so I'm going to take this clay right here and fashion it into the shape of actual clay marble. So we have two toys out of the way. We have a whizzer, and then we've got some clay marbles. So let's start working on the third toy. Alright, so here we have our third toy. These are lead dice, and these were definitely around during the 1850s. Soldiers used to make these out of musket balls, and during the Revolutionary War they made them out of musket balls as well. Ancient Romans had lead dice. Lead dice have been found all over the world. Alright, so I have some hot lead off-site here, and we're going to try to use this mold right here, this clay mold, to make a lead toy in the shape of a horse. That was definitely popular during the 1850s, so let's try that. Alright, so what I have here is tin. This actual tin that was used to make jacks. It took a lot of work to make those toys actually, but those toys are really important because it gives the developing child the chance to interact with their world, to play and to learn all at one time. So the first toy that I want to talk about is the whizzer. The whizzer is a toy that you pull back and forth, and it makes all types of like whirling and buzzing noises, and when you do that, it falls under the category of a fidget. It's something that keeps a child's hands busy, and if you do it right, you can see all types of wave patterns in the strings. You can see standing waves and nodes of waves, and you can investigate the relationship between the height of a wave, the length of the wave, and how that gives rise to a frequency. So when it comes time to learn about waves, maybe electromagnetic waves, someone can say, yes, I've seen that before. I don't know where, but I've seen that before. The second toy that I want to talk about falls under the category of a marksmanship toy, and that is the clay marbles. Kids have been playing marbles since ancient Rome, of course. And so what it is it's a game that allows you to hit your mark. So you would shoot the marbles and knock other marbles out of the way. And so since that's marksmanship, it falls under that category. And there's other marksmanship games too, horseshoes, slingshots, darts, lawn bowling, bocce ball. All of those toys fall under the category of marksmanship. The third toy that I want to talk about is the jacks. Now, those jacks don't look like any modern day jacks that we're familiar with, but that's how it was. Jacks have a very long history. Originally, jacks was made and played with the knuckle bones of goats and pigs because they would fall in this random haphazard order, and it was a fun game to try to throw a ball up and collect them. And over the years, jacks evolved from bones into wood into metal. Now, there are many metal detectorists that like to metal detect Civil War camps, and they find these little items that look like jacks. And they surmise that it's not really a child's jack. They say it might be a caltrops. A caltrops is a sharp, jagged instrument that was thrown out into the road to keep the infantry from advancing down the road, and Alexander the Great used them, and the Chinese used them, and the idea was to just throw them out there in the road, and since they would always land in this dangerous position, that it would injure the horses, and it would keep the army, the infantry, from getting towards you. And the problem with that is that Civil War historians can't find any reference to caltrops used in the Civil War. And so basically the answer is that what metal detectorists think are Civil War caltrops are in fact 1800s versions of jacks, homemade jacks that were made by kids and adults, and they were made in all different shapes. Like if you look at these right here, they were made in a myriad of different shapes. And so anything that lands in a haphazard pattern, whether it be knuckle bones or little pieces of wood or pieces of tin triangles like what I have here, any of that would have been up for a game of jacks. That makes jacks fall under the category of a dexterity game. The next toy I want to talk about are lead dice. Now, lead dice are nothing new. I mean, like I said, ancient Romans had lead dice, and people made lead dice all the way up until the Civil War. So making dice out of musket balls was something that was commonplace. And the thing about dice is that there's no way to predict what's going to happen when you roll the dice. And so because of that, dice falls under the category of games of chance. And so the last toy that I want to talk to you about is a toy that falls under the category of a role-playing scenario, where a child would pretend that they're in a certain role. And so if you had a little lead horse, you could pretend that you were in a horse race, or the horses were talking to each other, or you were a horse farmer, or any type of make-believe game like that. Now, lead toys are very old, a lot older than 1850s, and lead toys, they definitely exist, but there might not have been that many of them because they don't show up very often in metal detecting finds. We do find them, but for the most part, it's a rare find. So we have our Christmas decoration done. We've got our box of toys done. And there's one more thing that we need to do, and that is to make some type of dessert. So I tried to think of something that was traditional, that was available during the 1850s, and would have definitely been special. So let's go get the fire going. Reliving that made me realize something. I understand now why the tradition got started, because it's nice if you were to do that stuff in good company. Like if the oldest daughter was decorating the house with evergreens, and the mom was baking a cake on the old wood burning stove, and the dad was hand carving toys while the kids were sleeping, and you stayed up late and you were singing Christmas carols or something like that. If you do that in good company, then it's very enjoyable. And so I see that now, and I didn't quite get that before. So the fact that the stuff didn't turn out perfectly but was still enjoyable, that's it. That's the secret. That's the secret to a good Christmas. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good Christmas. How about 100 likes? If I could have one Christmas present, it would be 100 likes. So check the likes out on this video, and if it's not 100, see if you can give a like. So I'll see you next time. We're going creek walking next week. So see you later.